Let's go. Ha, ha, ha. Let's go. I'm fired up tonight. We're going to have an open discussion about the future of LSU football. Look, I kind of want to do a full live stream on what Cardell Thomas posted yesterday. I thought that was so fascinating, right? But obviously, there's so much we got to get to today. And when I mean so much, I mean so much because as many of you know, there is never a dull moment as an LSU football fan. You have to admit, even though we don't follow daily Alabama football or we don't follow daily Clemson football or Ohio State football, I think we're amongst those top 4 programs. They don't have as much drama as we do, right? Because this whole Dare Rosenthal story is so fascinating. And I know we've done 2 videos on it, but it's still such a huge story because LSU is arguably deep everywhere on the team. They're so deep. They're deep at quarterback. They're deep at wide receiver. They're fairly deep at running back. They're deep on the defensive line. They're deep at linebacker. Kind of sort of deep in the secondary too. But the only position where if one of the starters, in particular Dare Rosenthal, decided to not actually come through and play this season, but guess what? It just happens to be Dare Rosenthal. Now, I understand it as LSU football fans, we can't complain for too much, okay? How many programs have won 3 national championships with 3 different head coaches in the past 2 decades? 0. So we have a lot to be happy about. It's just this was very unfortunate, right? Oh, Paris, about time you're here early. I love it. We say hi to Leonard. We say hi to Kenneth. We say hi to Mick, Johnny, Big Al. I love you, Cliff. Welcome in. James, what's good? So, yeah, this just stinks. And obviously the poll question beforehand was, does Dare Rosenthal leaving cost LSU the college football playoff? And a lot of you said no. Now, obviously 23 votes, not a huge sample, but still, a lot of you feel as if LSU is going to still have enough to make a run for the college football playoff. Not going to lie, I'm starting to get very concerned. And look, the only position on this team that we worry about consistently is the offensive line. Now, I'm worried about the running back position. I'm worried about who's going to step up alongside Kayshawn. I'm worried about linebacker. I'm worried about the defensive formation, 4-3-3-4, cover 2, whatever you want to call it. But really, the only position group that keeps you up at night is that LSU offensive line. So we are going to see what happens. Rai here on a Tuesday. Tasha, what's good? Tasha, I've been missing you. What's good? How's everything in the Facebook world? Big Al asked a very good question here. Do we dare take a defensive tackle and have him move to the other side? We welcome in Messing with People 24. Welcome. We'll welcome in James. Your real name's Chris. What's good, Marcus? So this is what's fascinating, okay? And I'm not going to lie. Big Al is always going to come through with the dad jokes. I love it. Love the dads of PHL. But this, and I want you to be completely honest about this, because this is the number one comment. What's up, Charlie? New viewer. So everyone, welcome Charlie to the channel. Welcome. So if this also happens to be your first live stream, this is obviously very important information. We always talk about the big stories, but if you have a question and you want it answered immediately, obviously Super Chat, Venmo, Cash App, 2 Card of the Power. And guess what? We go straight to your question. All right. Now, this is the number one thing that I've gotten from this Dare Rosenthal story. Carter, LSU's rules are archaic. We are behind other SEC schools. when it comes to certain rules and regulations. So I spoke to someone I really trust when it comes to this kind of information, and he explained it to me this way. LSU football, you could super chat whatever you want, any high number. There is no limit, I believe, on the super chat. Something else that's really cool is obviously when you do super chat, we go straight to your comment. So I know you're new. I know a lot of you are regular viewers, people that watch every week. But yeah, whatever you want. And we go straight to your topic. And obviously the bigger the super chat, the more topics you get to pick. You can pick whatever you want. Michael, I love that question. In fact, our guy Carvis, he's not in here. He compares TDP and Emery to Chubb and Michelle. We'll get to that in a second. Leonard, the record is actually Marcus and Robert. They are by far our biggest super chatters. PHL dues, boom. So Cliff, you get to pick the topic. But yeah, the record for a super chat, Marcus dropped the biggest super chat. I think he dropped a 250 spot one time. I think the most given during a chat is Marcus or Robert. I think they both gotten up to 400 before. Hey, get your brother's credit card and just swipe that bad boy. Let's go. I love it. And Reed, you were right about this. Garrett Dellinger will get a lot of playing time. What's good, Valenti? So this is what I want to bring up, because obviously this is the number one thing that I've gotten. Okay. Carter, LSU needs to change their rules. All right. And this was something Kane commented. And by the way, if I can't get to your comment on the thing, just always know we'll get to it on the live stream. Kane's like, look, LSU, there is far more nefarious behavior than, ganja, Mary J. Blige, whatever you want to call it. And honestly, it's true. Okay. And look, I don't talk about a whole lot of controversial topics. I keep it LSU football, but this is something that I know from firsthand experience from being around LSU football players. When I was at LSU, football players smoke. Okay. Now, full disclosure before I continue, there is no confirmed report that Dare Rosenthal had anything to do with the good stuff or bad stuff, however you view it. There's nothing. However, it seems to be the overwhelming consensus that's the matter at hand here. And other schools have far more lax rules when it comes to this. I've heard this repeatedly. LSU has the strictest rules in the SEC. Okay. But it does not change the fact that everybody else in that locker room follows those rules. Okay. And look, you guys probably know where I stand on this. I've actually shared my thoughts on this very subject. It's being legalized everywhere, right? So live your life. As long as you do not do harm to others, I feel it's okay. And this has been quoted. A lot of football players do this as a medicinal coping mechanism with the anxiety and the pain that comes along with being a football player. I totally get it. Okay. However, LSU athletics has no control over this. The LSU presidents and board of supervisors actually control this very thing. So we go straight to Cliff's topic. Even with Dare gone, can LSU still kick Dekulus to right guard? Yes. And this is something else, is if you put Dekulus at right guard, who do you put at right tackle? The obvious answer would have been Cam Wire. And I've shared this before on plenty of live streams as well. I would much rather Cam Wire start at right guard over Chasen Hines, or right tackle over Austin Dekulus. And what I would have done to the LSU offensive line is kick Dekulus inside and put Cam Wire at right tackle. And I think that would have been a national championship level offensive line with Bradford and Hines and Turner as your backups. But that's not going to be the case. And that's the bigger issue here with Dare Rosenthal. It's not that Cam Wire can't step in. It's that one or two or three of the offensive linemen are going to get hurt. And they may not even get hurt. They're going to get banged up to where they can't suit up every week and or every snap. So it is wrong to think, okay, we're going to be fine. Cam Wire's going to step in. Everything's going to be good. No, that is not the right framework of thinking. Okay. So we'll see. And Reed brings up Doomerville. We'll see what happens with Doomerville. The spring game, he had one really bad drive during the spring game. Other than that, it was still very meh overall. We'll see. I hope he steps forward and takes that next step at a St. Thomas Aquinas. We'll see what happens. Okay? So, yeah, and Cliff, that's a great question. Does Dekulus still move to right guard? We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's kind of tougher to do that now, Cliff, because you don't have Wire as a backup anymore. Okay, because what you could have done is put Dekulus in at right guard, put Cam Wire at right tackle, and then at left tackle, you still have Rosenthal. If one of those three get hurt, you can bounce those three guys around and Dekulus could still kick out. Now, I think you're kind of forced because you don't have Wire as a backup to not do that. So we'll see. But as Kenneth points out, you cannot survive a year without injuries on the offensive line. So understand, and this is why it's very important to bring this up early in the live stream. LSU Athletics has no rules, or they have no control over the rules and regulation. Now, we don't know how many times, and this is separate from the Dare Rosenthal conversation, because once again, I want to be very careful. I do not know Dare's full situation, but LSU players in the past have been suspended for marijuana. And obviously the most famous example of this is Tyrann Mathieu. It is what it is, okay? Everyone in that locker room follows the rules. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You let everyone down when you can't do it. And understand that, let's just put it this way. Let's just say, what's up, Jared? Let's just say Dare Rosenthal just out of the blue says, okay, I'm entering the transfer portal. I'm no longer happy at LSU. I would be a little bit more sympathetic to that because, look, players go through different things, okay? I totally understand it. The thing that I have an issue with is Dare has been given so many chances by LSU. He got suspended for the Fiesta Bowl in 2018. Then, of course, he left the team for personal reasons before the 2020 season. Then midway through early in the 2020 season, he gets hurt. That sucks. But then he gets suspended for 2 games in the middle of the season with the thin offensive line already, with rotating quarterbacks. And then, you do the photo shoot. We're counting on you. This is such a key position. And this happens. To the point where you're like, okay, yes, it's a good thing that, someone that you can't rely on is gone. But it's also one of those things where, it's still going to be hard to work around it. Oh, really? You have to take a drug test this weekend? What's up, Josh? Welcome back. Yeah, and Kane brings it up. You just can't get caught. Trust me, when I was at LSU, there were quite a few LSU football players that smoked weed. Okay? It's just a fact of the matter. I don't remember if this was Tyrann Mathieu, but it was another prominent NFL player who said 30 to 40% of the NFL minimum blows it. It's been more welcomed across the country now more than ever before. Okay. So let's, does LSU need to get with the times and update rules? Once again, this is separate from the Dare Rosenthal conversation. Yeah. Yeah, of course. And it's weird because you think Louisiana, you think, a little bit more open-minded of a state. And it's still a big issue if someone, wow, a master sergeant popped positive. It's interesting for the good stuff. I think so. Jared, that's probably a more accurate number. Probably is, especially now. Annis came brought up compared to some of the other stuff that LSU players can play with. It's pretty crazy. But understand, this is a not just LSU athletics thing. It's presidents, it's board of supervisors. There's a lot of people that would need to get involved as far as changing the policy. Something else that I think, and Josh Hayes doing great. She'll be back. She went out to dinner with some family. She'll be on here a little bit later. But this is also very key. And I really do mean this next point is also so crucial. I do also think LSU has a new president. This would be the time to say, look, we need to change some things. We are falling behind. Because the one thing that wouldn't make sense is Dare Rosenthal leaving and then being immediately able to play at pretty much any school he wants to. Johnny, you got your package? Oh, that's cool, man. Send me a photo, Johnny, of the cards in the number 7 band. So does this mean we let Cam Thomas play? I am not sure Cam Thomas. Isn't Cam Thomas the shooting guard? The basketball player? Alcohol destroys lives. Weed destroys pizza. He punched you? Okay. But anyway, it was worth the shot. Also, as far as recruiting is concerned, we did this video earlier today. And this is obviously, very important. LSU gets an official announcement date from Kelvin Banks. And he announces that he's going to commit on July 24th. Emory Jones also announces that he's going to commit before the season. Could both of them push their date back? I don't know. Also, I got so many messages from you guys about Harold Perkins. There was rumors that he was going to announce that he was going to commit today. No, he was just committing to an all-star game. So there you go. Okay. Harold Perkins is not going to make his decision anytime soon, which kind of sucks. We'll see what happens. I just hope LSU gets an out-of-state offensive lineman because Cam East. Now, let me. Obviously, a lot of you, not named Nick, is going to know the answer to this, but how many of you are familiar with Cam East, the 3-star offensive tackle out of New Orleans who committed to Mississippi State? Now, he wasn't offered by LSU, but he commits to Mississippi State. How many of you thought Cam East should have been offered? So, a lot of you feel Cam East should have been offered. 6'7", 280. We'll see. He joins Lucas Taylor at Mississippi State. LSU did offer Fitzgerald West, the defensive tackle at LCA, to play offensive line. So, yeah, Cam East goes to Mississippi State. So here's the thing. We talk about Kelvin Banks. We talk about Julian Armella. Cam Dewberry, that ship has sailed. He listed his top 5. And his top 5, he legit listed all of LSU's top rivals, except LSU. Devon Campbell's still out there. That's probably not going to happen. So, yeah, it wasn't the best 24 to 48 hours for LSU offensive line news. So, yeah, let's say LSU late in the process wants to offer Cam East. Well, it's going to be too late. And there is a danger. There is a really big danger, though, in offering an offensive lineman who can't play. Okay? So this is a danger you run into. If you offer, let's just say this, because I've gotten a lot of questions about Cam East as well. Okay? If you offer Cam East and he gets to LSU and he can't play, there is nothing else he can do for your football team. Okay? Take, for instance, Josh White. All right. We don't know if Josh White is ever going to be a good linebacker at LSU or if he's ever going to have his opportunity. So Josh White was a 4-star linebacker who got an offer. Okay. But here's the good thing about Josh White. He's a really good athlete who gives you value on special teams. So outside of being on field goal block, an offensive lineman who can't play is a very valuable slot. Whereas backup linebackers can be really good special teamers and really valuable assets to your team. So we'll see what happens. And that's also a thing, Kenneth. You're going to have less spots over the next couple of years. Now, overall, Kenneth, LSU's roster scholarship total right now is not really that high, especially if Dare Rosenthal is another number that will be counted against. So we'll see. We also get a hot take here. Deer sausage is the most overrated food ever. Really? But, this is obviously very important. If you offer an offensive lineman who can't come there and help you by year 2 or year 3, there's so much developing and relying on it. We'll see. Let's see. I want to get to another question here. All right, Rai with the super chat. Before I answer it, show Rai some love. Rai, I know you're not a Tuesday guy. You're a Saturday live streamer. Okay. What in the heck are you doing on a Tuesday here, Rai? Huh? I freaking love it. Freaking love it. What's the dang deal? Yeah, nothing going on tonight. Oh, man. I love it. Is there a sleeper? We had a Bob. What's up, Bob? Bradford at OT. Okay. Let's go, Rai. Is there a sleeper O-line guy that could step up and replace Dare? Someone that no one's talking about. Okay. All right. So before we answer that, Rai, I want to answer Kenneth's question here because it does apply to your super chat. V-Law, you're just on time. And Bruce, we'll get to your starting offensive line in just a second. I actually agree with that group. So Kenneth, yes, there are good offensive linemen in the portal. Okay. Really good offensive linemen in the portal. Stacy Wilkins out of Camden, Arkansas, is a very good prospect. He ended up going to Oklahoma, and after a season, he decided to enter the portal. But LSU has no slots left in the portal. So unless Stacy Wilkins wanted to be a part of the 2022 class, you can't take him in. So the first thing here is maybe a rule of thumb for LSU is to always keep a slot open in the portal until right before the season begins. It's an idea just in case something like this happens. But yeah, you can go grab Stacey Wilkins, and if you think he's ready to go, he'd be able to help you right now. Okay. So to answer, Ryan's question a little bit more, the starting offensive line is how I feel Bruce has it listed. Cam Wire, Ed Ingram, Liam Shanahan, Anthony Bradford, Austin Dekulus. Look, I am hoping for the best with Jason Hines here. I understand that I've been really critical of Jason Hines on this channel. It's nothing personal. It's just he really, really, really struggled, okay, to the point where, the team really struggled because of it. I do think having him as a backup is a better option, and you start Anthony Bradford. So you then start looking at some sleeper candidates. Can Thomas Perry give you some snaps at right tackle? At a Lafayette, Louisiana scholarship guy, obviously, you would hope, a guy by year 3 is someone that can help you out. I think the two, oh, Bob, thank you. I appreciate that. Bob Wood, I appreciate that. I do think this is very important to keep in mind as well. Rai is the sleeper offensive lineman to fill in for Dare is Charles Turner. Okay. Is he a little too light to play offensive tackle? I don't know. He stepped in at left guard last season for LSU, and he had a okay game against Missouri. It wasn't bad. It wasn't too good, but overall it was just solid. Charles Turner is obviously a really good athlete, but he's also your backup center. And his value there becomes even more valuable just because you don't have another center on the team, not named Liam Shanahan. And I know at some point Ed Orgeron was thinking about starting Jason Hines at center last season, but I don't know. This is a good question, Bruce. Can LSU take on some of these portal players as preferred walk-ons and offer them a scholarship next year in 2022? Yes. And the last name is who Reed just mentioned, Xavier Hill, Marlon Martinez. They were the 2 3-star offensive linemen in last year's class. So obviously Marcus Dumerville is going to be the sexiest name there, but Hill and Martinez are 2 names to keep an eye out for, Rai. So we'll see. Can LSU take some of these portal players as preferred walk-ons and offer them a scholarship next year? They can. The only problem is which player is doing that. Now, I reached out to someone who's an expert on the NIL, and she is a lawyer. Her name's Maddie Salamone. And I reached out and asked her, can a player come to LSU and make money through the NIL that covers the scholarship and, get a car dealership spot? And she said the answer is yes, they can, but the likelihood of a player coming to a school without a scholarship, hoping that he or she is going to make enough money through the NIL is just very unlikely. So yes, a player, yes, a player can come over. It's just not going to happen. I just don't see that happening, Bruce. Would I like Stacey Wilkins to come on over? Yeah, I would, and I think he could play right now. It's just highly unlikely. Can LSU bring AG2 back? No, Josh, that ship has sailed. But, you then bring in the most important man in this conversation, and that's Brad Davis. So you get him from Arkansas. You pay him $830K a year, which is obviously a lot of money. That's more than Coach Stud at Ohio State. That's more than Henson at Texas A&M. Both of those guys have put together some pretty great offensive lines. And, there's a lot of pressure on Brad Davis to live up to the salary. Obviously, this is what I would do if I'm Ed Orgeron, because there are so many recruiting things that Brad Davis is going to need to do before the season. Because of the Dare Rosenthal news, I would put a premium on Brad Davis focusing mostly on fixing this offensive line over focusing on recruiting offensive lineman X to come to LSU. Okay, because look, from the get-go, it was going to be hard to get out-of-state offensive lineman to LSU anyway. It always has been. It always will be for whatever reason until we start putting more offensive linemen in the NFL, until we start drafting more offensive linemen. Now, obviously, if you're Kelvin Banks, you look at the LSU offensive line right now, he would have the opportunity to play right now if he was eligible. So we'll see. But does immediate playing time enamor athletes as much as it used to? And I'm not sure. That's obviously a very interesting question as well. I'm not sure if immediate playing time is as important as it once was. Okay. And I think there's a few reasons as to why. I think the first thing obviously is, you got to wait 3 years before you go to the NFL anyway. And the second thing is, body preservation. Like if I can't tell you how many players that healthily played and started basically every game of their career or every game of their 3-year career. There's just not many. So I'm not sure if immediate true freshman playing time is the calling card that it once was. It used to be. And obviously kids want to play as soon as possible. But I also think kids are smarter because they understand that development is also very important before you get to the next level. So we'll see. Rain says it's a terrible way to look at it. He gets paid the big bucks. He can and should focus on both. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he should focus on both. I do think the bigger issue now, though, yes, recruiting offensive linemen is so important. It can also be very exhausting. It can take a mental toll on you. I think, though, the bigger issue at hand right now is fixing what LSU has in front of it. So I agree with you. I wasn't trying to downplay the importance of recruiting the position. I just think LSU needs to fix what they have right now. What interests me is Davis doesn't exactly have a track record of sending OLs to the league, so why is he getting so much bread? I don't know. That's obviously a very good question. The first thing is obviously, he was at Florida for a season, then, 2 years at Missouri, and then this 1 year at Arkansas. So really, as far as track record is concerned, he hasn't really stayed anywhere too long, which isn't too out of the ordinary, really, because, it's coaching for you. You jump around a lot. Also, I do think this is important. How many NFL level offensive linemen are really going to be at Missouri? Anyway, I don't know if Missouri is known for producing offensive linemen at the next level. But, Kane, you are right in that this is a large sum of money for an offensive line coach. There's no other way around it. It really is a large sum. So this is interesting from Via Law. Portal rules, NIL. We'll start with the NIL because Cliff so far has been our only super chatter, despite us having the highest numbers here for quite some time. I love it, baby. 78 people, only 13 likes. Do you people really hate me this much? Let's see here. Yeah, I agree with that. OL is really hard. Oh, yeah, right. You actually are the biggest super chatter. Please forgive me, right. I'm just not used. Right, this throws me off. I'm so used to you being like one of the liveliest guys on Saturdays. Huh? Devin, I still haven't forgiven you for that bad lemon pepper joke. Is the O-line coach the most important coach, not a coordinator? By far, yes. By far, yes. That is such a huge position. Cody, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate you. Cliff, as far as the NIL is concerned, the NIL is a very dangerous thing as players aren't playing for individual accolades to increase their value, not team success. Okay, so this goes to the Cardell Thomas thing, right? So Cardell Thomas released a statement last night, and this is very important, okay? Cardell said, if you want to reach out to me, I would happily, sponsor your product. I have really been debating getting Cardell Thomas to be the PHL spokesman. But anyway, I thought the statement was interesting, and I wonder how teammates felt about it. I think they're happy. I think players should get their money. I don't think the NIL is going to, ruin college athletics. It's going to change some things. I do think the transfer portal is going to have a bigger influence on the game than the NIL. Jared, thank you. I appreciate you. Let's see. But yes, I do think out of the two, I don't think the NIL is going to be as big of a deal. I think the NIL is a good thing. I do. I also think we as a society can do better teaching our children about financial literacy. I think that's the bigger issue regarding, and that's a little bit more broad, but yeah, I think our financial literacy in this country is horrible. So, the money you get from the NIL, do you use it for, good reasons? Or are you, using it all on Jordans or whatever? But yeah, exactly, Rain. Get them in a bidding war. I'm still waiting on Cody's question here. Wife's gone to her mama's. I love it. So yeah, I do think the NIL is not going to be as big of a deal as people put it out to be, because businesses are smart. They're not just going to. What I think, and this is my prediction. Okay, my super marketing social media prediction. The people that I've spoken to on this NIL thing, the most important thing to keep in mind is that most of the NIL money, I believe, is going to be sponsored posts on social media. Okay? Look, money for puppy food. Devin, I love it. So, hey, we'll be home in just a second and you'll get to see Z. I do think, though, that's going to be the big thing. So don't worry too much about the NIL. I think look, Kayshon Boutte should have been able to do a sponsored post after the Ole Miss game when the celebrity was at the highest last year. He should have been able to sell his jersey. I would have bought that jersey. I would imagine how cool that would be. That's a legendary jersey. It's a 300-yard jersey. Actually, I'd offer to trade. I don't think I'd have the money to buy that jersey. But I think players should have the opportunity to make money out their image. I just don't think they're going to make as much as you probably think. Now, of course, some will. Take Arch Manning, will make more than others. I just don't think it's going to be where you think it's going to be. And what's interesting is most players are at their hugest celebrity before they even get to college. Okay. Recruiting is when I would say 90% of college or high school athletes, they are generating the most clicks and attention when they're being sought after. But once they get to the school, there's not as much content produced on you. There's not as much whatever. So I think the next great thing I just don't think the NIL is. I just don't think you're going to see Todd Graves go up to every single player on the LSU football team and give each and every one of them $20,000 instead of just writing a check to LSU for Raising Cane's to be the sponsor. And obviously, I'm a big fan of Cane's. I'm a big fan of Todd. He's just too smart of a businessman to do that. I just think the money's just not going to be as exorbitant as some of us potentially think. Z number 18 band is next. That's actually a good idea, Johnny. Andre, welcome to the chat. I always say this in live streams about stuff like this, Andre, is look, the most important thing is that, number one, I'm not a lawyer. Number one, I don't read like every single document when it comes to, serious matters such as this. But yes, you should always be worried. And this is just the truth, okay? Whenever it comes to serious matters such as the Darius Guy situation, you always got to understand that it's always going to linger, okay? Because it was something that was really bad that potentially happened. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but it's obviously not that great. You should be a little worried about it, but I don't think it is something that should be on top of your mind at all times, because what's going to happen is what's going to happen. It's all going to play out. And also, Andre, welcome to the chat. Let's see. But Kane, when players start playing for themselves and not the team, that breeds contention. I could see that, Cliff. What's up, Creek? I could see there being jealousy if one player is making more money than the other. But the bottom line is most players are happy for other players. Look, I remember a pretty prominent LSU player who did not make it in the NFL. He was a good player. He didn't make it. And, I asked him about another LSU player who did make it. And I was like, don't you ever wish you were that guy? And he was like, no, I'm happy for him. I'm happy he gets to feed my family. Now, feed his family. Now I got to worry about feeding mine now that I'm not in the league. So, yes, this is just life. Some players are going to make more money than others. And yes, jealousy can set in, but it's just how it always works, So would schools have to pay kids for interviews and promo stuff and videos? No. So yeah, that's just how media works. Some players are made available to media. It's kind of interesting, and I've brought this up a few times. So last season, the biggest star on the team last season was Derek Stingley Jr., and he didn't make any appearances, to the media. I like hearing when players speak to the media. I think it's good. You get to be in front of cameras and you get to increase your exposure. And it obviously helps you in the NFL draft. You're representing, your university whenever you're speaking to the media. So, as far as paying for interviews and whatnot, that's always kind of a dicey thing. When I do interviews on other stations and podcasts and all that, I've never charged. Okay, let's go to Bruce. Big Bruce, man. Bruce is one of our smartest commenters. Carter DL and Davis OL should recruit together. They could tell the fact that as an OL, you're going to get. I like that, Bruce. And look, Rain, to answer your question really quickly, it already is. Look, Jarvis Landry tells you all. Ask Jarvis Landry. Some of the toughest competition you'll face in your career is going up against some of the LSU defensive backs in practice. Jarvis went up against Tyrann Mathieu as a true freshman in practice. Same thing is true as Odell Beckham. And honestly, what's very important about that, Bruce, is that you actually go up against your fellow teammates in practice far more than you'll ever go up against anyone else. So really, yes, games are the thing that matters, but iron sharpens iron mostly in practice. Look, take Patrick Peterson, for example. Look at the wide receivers he went up against in practice. So yeah, it really is one of those things. TJ, so far the biggest super chat of the night. Who's gonna beat TJ? Right. You had it. You had the number one spot, but TJ just topped you like it ain't no thing. Thoughts on our linebacker corps? I have a feeling that this could be an underrated unit this year. Okay. Let's do it. Linebacker chat. This is what I'm talking about, baby. We're 45 minutes into it. And you watching right now, you're a diehard LSU football fan and you're loving PHL. Freaking love it, TJ. Just throw a random linebacker question in there. And I love it. I was thinking about this earlier, TJ, and I'm glad you asked this. Okay. LSU could have a linebacker problem next season. So the first thing is LSU could be in a scenario where they lose all the linebackers that played this season. So the first two guys I want to mention is Antoine Zampa and Josh White. Okay, they both came in the same class, the 2020 class, right? That was a really good class. All right, they didn't play much as true freshmen. They both had some flashes in the spring game. Zampa had an interception. They're going to be key. They're going to be key special teamers. But right now, they're nowhere close to being a starter. Okay? I do think Mike Jones is the best linebacker in this unit. Yes, he's not played a game for LSU. Yes, he wasn't there in spring. I don't care. I think Blake Baker knows this as well. Mike Jones is a modern-day linebacker. He is a Jabril Cox level player in coverage. Now, is he as good of a man coverage corner as Jabril Cox? Probably not. I said corner, linebacker. Jabril Cox is probably one of the best LSU coverage linebackers ever, if not the best. He had, no penalties, all the interceptions, a pick six, an interception return to the one against Arkansas, and then the pick against Ole Miss. So Mike Jones is obviously going to be one of the starters. I think LSU would be smart to start Mike Jones. And then TJ, I love random questions, especially when it comes in on a super chat. All right. Because I think everyone that's watching this, you're a diehard LSU football fan. Okay. You're sitting this, you probably just are sitting at work during the day and you're like, God, is Damon Clark ever going to figure this thing out? And these are the kind of questions that make me the happiest. Okay. Creek, it is good to hear from you, man. So let's start with this. Let's start with this question, TJ. Do you believe, and I need everyone in the chat to come to a consensus, do you guys believe Mike Jones is a day one starter? Like, without reasonable doubt, is Mike Jones day one starter? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know. Type Y for yes, type N for no. What's up, Andre? Thank you for sharing. 100% yes. Jack, good to hear from you. Yes. Cody, thanks for that super chat earlier. TJ, okay, you agree with that? Kareem says no way to know. Well, Kareem, give it your best guess. And Kareem says no. Okay. Kareem, say hi to Caden. So everyone says yes. All right. Now, if you know Mike Jones is going to be one of your starters, remember, teams don't run base 4-3. We're playing UCLA the first game of the season. They are a spread team, so we're not going to be in 4-3 all that much. We're going to be in a lot of nickel package. So if Mike Jones is your starter, let's ask this question first, okay? Mike Jones is one of your starters. Who is the other starting linebacker? Right now in the chat, Don't tell me who you believe it should be. Tell me who you think Ed Orgeron and Blake Baker are going to start at that other linebacker position. Okay? What's up, Kareem and Caden? Father-son love on PHL. Cliff says Bug. Valenti says Bug. Strong. Strong will be the other. Clint says Baskerville. Strong. Baskerville. Okay. Pegasus. I like that. You believe in Clark. I love it. Even though his spring game, his weaknesses showed in the spring game. I think both of TDP's long runs were the byproduct of Clark not filling in the right gap. The first run, I feel pretty confident that was the case. And then the second one, it's still up in the air. Dre Anthony? Oh, you think Andre Anthony's going to move to linebacker? Okay. That's interesting. Alan says Baskerville? Okay. So the first thing that I find very interesting about this question is if Mike Jones and Micah Baskerville are your starters, those are two linebackers that were not there in the spring. Okay? It's wild. It's absolutely wild. All right, Tony, this super chat, I love it, man. The Master Blaster. Is it time for Mike the Tiger to come back into Tiger Stadium? Yes, it is, Tony. I'm fired up about that. They should bring Mike in the Tiger Stadium. Tony, I'll touch on that in a second. I want to finish out this linebacker question. That is a funny super chat, though. I miss it. I miss seeing Mike before the game. I understand I'm a kid at heart. Put Mike in the gosh darn stadium. Heck, here's what I'll do. We're going to do a PHL suite, and we're just going to have Mike roam around in the suite, okay? Just let it happen. What can go wrong? Can you give me a I love it, Kenneth. I love it. So it is interesting that if Mike Jones and Micah Baskerville start, neither one of them were there for the spring. So you're starting two guys that Blake Baker has really not had the opportunity to coach. I think Baskerville will be ready to go. He obviously had something going on, and he should be ready. Okay, and he played last season. Is Micah Baskerville Devin White? No. It's more Donnie Alexander, just a solid player. Okay, not too spectacular, but very experienced, loves LSU. So, yeah, I would be fine with Mike Jones and Micah Baskerville. I'm a Jared Small guy. And look, it could just be my affinity for 3-star and walk-on players. Jared Small, Catholic High, played in a good program. His good friend is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So these two guys have that mentality. Yes, we're lowly rated, but we're smart. We know where we need to be. Also, Jared Small, you can make a strong case, was the best defensive player in the spring game. He was really good. 14 tackles and a pick. He was where he needed to be the whole time. Jared Small has some real pop to his game as well. Fills holes. He's able to, hit really hard. Can he cover? That's going to be the big question. Maybe he's not even close. It would be pretty unprecedented for him to have the kind of surgence he's had. And then you have Bug Strong, okay, who was there during the spring, who Ed Orgeron couldn't quit raving about. Obviously, Bug is going to be a special teamer in some capacity if he's not a starter. Okay, when you hit and you're that athletic, you're going to get some opportunities to play no matter what. We didn't get to see him in the spring game. I thought that was interesting, but overall, based on Ed Orgeron's word, Bug Strong was a guy who dominated during spring ball. Okay, so yeah, we'll see. I think we'll see what happens. But yeah, Jared Small's in this conversation. But I think right now, what's up, Marcus? Good to see you. I think right now the starters are going to be Mike Jones at one of the starters roles, and I think LSU's going to roll Damon Clark out there again. There's just too much for me to see LSU doing this. Okay, the first thing is obviously Damon Clark wears that number 18 uniform. Ed Orgeron, based on what I've been told, loves this guy. Okay. And he likes Damon Clark being on the field because of his experience. I just don't think he's playing the right position. I think Damon Clark is, better served as a situational pass rusher and special teamer. Last season, for whatever reason, and it is different filling in the run game with a 4-3 or a 3-4. Also, so Damon Clark just couldn't quite figure it out. It didn't help that Jabril Cox was not a great box linebacker, not a thumper, not a great hitter in between the tackles. That obviously didn't really help out the situation. Bo Pelini being your linebackers coach didn't help out the situation. Going from Dave Veranda to Bo Pelini is really hard. Okay. So yeah, I just don't. Is Clark someone that just needs to move positions altogether? I don't know. But I think the best linebacker duo for LSU next season will end up being Mike Jones, Micah Baskerville, and Bug Strong in some form of rotation. Now you look historically, LSU doesn't in the past, it just depended on the team, but LSU just doesn't rotate their linebackers too much, but they do have a rotation. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Man, I hope Jared Small gets on the field, man. I mean, to walk on and wait your turn and then ball out. Yeah. I'm always cheering for the 3-star. I'm cheering for the underdog story. Yeah, we'll see. If Damon Clark doesn't start, does he keep the number 18 uniform? We'll see. Micah Baskerville makes plays and Mike Jones can cover. So you see there, we could talk about linebackers all day long, TJ. It wasn't random. Huh? That's what's great about the live chat. On Tuesdays and Saturday nights, you can jump in and talk whatever you want. That's what's great about it. I think LSU will have a top 5 defense. It's interesting. Barry, by what metric? Are you saying total defense? Are you saying scoring defense? Are you saying yards per play? Are you getting fancy and saying DVOA? Are you getting what category? And that's what's okay. So Barry says overall. So by overall, are you just saying in general? I think it's going to be hard for LSU to have a top 5 defense if their offense is really good, simply because if you have an offense that runs fast-paced offense and you're playing at a frantic pace, yeah, you could still have a top 5 defense. It's just really hard. Overall, though, I do agree with you, Bear. They're going to be better. What's up, JJ from Shreveport? Are you working tonight, my guy? Yeah, Bruce, I think that would be a good policy, a year-by-year jersey number thing, right? You got to earn it. You got to every season we issue a jersey number. Tell me something good. Kenneth, that's the thing about the number 18 uniform is that it's kind of harder to rip that uniform away because the number 18 uniform is not solely based on play. The number 7 uniform just comes down is, are you a BAMF? I mean, are you a dude that's, prime time? Are you an NFL Pro Bowl type of talent? That's what I think about at number 7. Are you going to win a Thorpe, or are you going to win a Bolitnikov? That's who a number 7 is. A number 18 uniform is kind of, it's a little bit more intrinsic. I don't know if that's the right word. But yeah, I don't think they should take that away from Devon Clark. I don't think so. Roman, what's good? You driving the bread truck tonight, my guy? Pegasus says, Carter, how many teams are we playing this year that aren't some type of spread offense? Okay, let's go through the list. Kentucky, they're a little more run-based. Chris Rodriguez, really good back. But basically everyone. Arkansas, yes. Florida, yes. Ole Miss, yes. Alabama, a little more balanced, but yes. Auburn's going to be a little different. They do have Tank Bigsby, so I think they'll run a little more, but basically yes. So yeah, most offenses are more like the Big 12 offenses from yesteryear compared to the SEC offenses from yesteryear. Think about it. We have the 2 best CBs in the league. We're going to have one of the best defensive lines in the country, and our defense is motivated to get better. I hope you're right, Barry. I really do. I do have, some questions. I think safety is still up in the air. I like Jay Ward. I like Todd Harris. I love their stories. But, I mean, to think that Jay Ward is just going to be a home run at free safety, I hope so. But there's going to be some growing pains there. That's such a hard position to just be dominant in, especially if you're switching from something else from day one. So we'll see. So what topic are we going to next? Let's see. I'm not missing any. All right, everybody, smile. Boom. Get that bug right there. Boom. I want to get a photo. How about running back? Okay, I'll happily talk about running back. Let's see. Also wanted to share this if you want to support the channel. You also get the shirt. What's up, D? Are you new to the channel, D? I want to welcome you, D. Eli Ricks this year will be All-American. Okay. Roman. Okay, so Roman on the bread truck duty on I-10. I love it. Are you in traffic right now? If you're on I-10, you're definitely in traffic, right? It depends on where you are on I-10. Do you have us piped through the Bluetooth right now? Let me know, Roman. Who here? Let me know right now. Who here thinks Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley Jr. will both be All-Americans next season? Okay. All right. Type Y for yes if you think both will be All-Americans next season. Or let's go All SEC. All SEC. Rain says me, All-American. Both All-American. Oh, okay. Marcus with the 50 spot. All right. Marcus Marcus always comes in and drops that 50. I love it, man. So yeah, we'll stop here. Show Marcus some love. Yeah, it's hard to be for both of them to be All-Americans. It'll be tough. I do think Ohio State has an opportunity with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, both being All-Americans. They're both beasts. Everyone show Marcus some love in the chat right now. I love it. Any updates on NB? I hate that. NB. Let me see. I'm trying to think of NB. Joel Embiid. Any NBA? NB. What is NB? Marcus Banks? Is that new bug? Nickelback. Huh? I thought you were talking about the band at first. Okay. So we'll I was like, wait, what? Nickelback? Huh? Okay, so yeah, we'll talk about the nickel. All right, Marcus drops a 50 burger. This is what we do, baby. We go deep. So look, just talked about linebackers thanks to TJ's very generous super chat. We're going deep into the nickel right now. All right. So we go from Elias Ricks to Derek Stingley Jr. Obviously, both of them are involved in this next discussion. So who here believes, and this is the same question, okay? Who here, and I just want a simple Y or in to this. Y for yes, in for no. Who thinks Cordell Flott should start at the nickel next season? Type Y for yes, type in for no. And then we'll go from there. It does, Marcus, and that's interesting. The linebacker, it does affect that too. TJ says, in, Tevin in. Wow, not a single person except Enoch. Is Enoch the scribe? Is this your first chat? If so, welcome. Enoch, are you the burner account of Cordell Flott? Rai says, why for redemption? I'm telling you, Johnny is the president of the Pig Cage fan club. I promise you. All right. So I think most of you said no. Last year was his learning year. All right. So here are my thoughts on Cordell Flott. All right. Before I give you my thoughts. So since for those that said no, who should start at the nickel? Because we have to realize that the likelihood that Eli Ricks gets bounced inside is very unlikely. Okay. I could see a scenario, though, where he does play it and Dwight McGlothern plays the nickel, but I'm going to open it up to you. Is it Pig Cage? Is it Sage Ryan? Let me know. I'll give you who I think the best nickel would be on the team. Yeah, I would really, Marcus, that's interesting. It's going to be Flott or Sage. Reed, you think Dwight? Go Tigers. Yeah, haven't seen you in a while. What's up? Do you think Sage Ryan? By the way, D and Enoch, let me know if this is your first time. I want to welcome you to the channel. Yeah, Marcus definitely has the size. But yeah, it's interesting with McGlothern. So there was a few times in the Florida game where he was in the nickel and it wasn't pretty. Once again, though, that's a really tough spot to be in. Okay, especially with Dan Mullen, especially going up against, Kadarius Toney. Cordell Flott got himself ejected. There was a few times McGlothern was in the nickel and he made, some mistakes. I think he's an outside corner. I don't know if he's necessarily a nickel. Okay. So, yes, I think Dwight McGlothern is ready to go. But I agree with Mo Funky. I think the best thing would be putting Ricks at the nickel and putting McGlothern on the outside. I just don't know if that's going to be something that interests Ricks himself. I don't know if that's something that would interest Durante. I do think the best nickel on the team is Jay Ward, but he's playing safety. I think Jay Ward is a perfect nickel. And for a lot of reasons. Number one is Jay Ward has a really short memory. He just balls. You look at the Arkansas game where he really struggled. He had a really rough game. But then at the end, put all of that aside and made the 2 plays that won the game for us at the end. Then you go look at the Florida game where he lined up at nickel. He did a lot better at that position than, let's say, McGlothern. Made a few mistakes. Who doesn't? But Jay Ward's going to be your safety. So that's out of the equation. But if LSU did have another safety on the roster, I would feel a lot better about Jay Ward being the nickel. I understand Sage Ryan is a very popular player. Yeah, well, D, welcome to the chat, man. Graylin, good to see you, Sage. Mike Jones. But you notice Carvis brings up a name that has kind of cooled off. What about Major Burns? Can Major Burns play that position? So maybe, maybe leaving Ricks and Sting on the outside is the right thing, and then you rotate out who that nickel should be. Something else that would interest me as well is LSU running more Mustang package. So the Mustang package was a package that was used by John Chavis. It's a 3-2-6 variation. It was a defense LSU used a lot in 2011. Sometimes they would go 4-1-6 out of it. But the 3-2-6 Mustang is something I would be very interested in. And you bring in 6 defensive backs, 2 linebackers, one of those guys being a hybrid, and going 3 defensive line. And out of that, just exotic blitzing the heck out of the opponent, getting more speed on the field. And there's so many different things you can do out of that that can make you very effective. And, bring in Ojolari as one of the ends. Bring in Bryce Langston to rush up the middle. There's so many different variations. I think the one thing LSU should do is say, look, we have a lot of different guys that can play. And something else that really bothered me last season was LSU just had such irregular substitution patterns. On defense, I think they could have played way more guys. But obviously, numbers and balancing all of that, it was weird. How many safeties do we need? Because we almost use all our scholarships on them. You need as many as you possibly can. I don't think there should be a limit on how many safeties LSU gets in this next class. And, the more I think about it, even though LSU lost another offensive lineman, the Major Burns move made a lot of sense. The defensive back is the most valuable position on your defense. Number one, quarterbacks are a lot better at evading the rush. Quarterbacks are a lot better at delivering the football really quickly. So, yes, pass rush is still very important, but you got to have guys that can cover in space. And last season, LSU's secondary was outdated. They had safeties that can't run. Okay, they had safeties that can't cover ground. And, Todd Harris is a guy that isn't, I want to put this kindly, he's not a sideline to sideline type of player. Now, you don't have to be the absolute fastest, but still, LSU, I mean, you've just got to be fast and deep at defensive back. And we'll see. I did not mind LSU using the final slot on Major Burns. Yeah, Reed, but it wasn't for a lack of trying to get offensive linemen. And Reed, if Major Burns can play the safety, I would be very open to moving him to that safety and then switching some guys around. I agree with that, Carvis. What's up, DRC? Good to hear from you. Enoch, that is putting in lightly, but it's not everything last year about LSU last year sucked. There was a lot of positives, especially at the end of the season. DRC just had to let us know what the full agenda was. He said, guys, I don't want to hang out with 92 of you. I got to take a shower. The wife got to go. Huh? I like a defense that's aggressive in the front seven, blitzing in disguise. I agree. Rain doesn't think Major Burns is a year one player. I could see that. I can. We've yet to really see. We've yet to really see him play defense yet. So obviously there's a lot. There's a lot going on. What's up, James? Good to hear from you. I'll be right back. I hope so, Bruce. I think LSU's personnel fits that well too. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I think LSU would be better off playing deep safeties, keep everything in front of you, and then, mixing it up, disguising the blitzes. I think LSU just was, part of it was communication. Part of it was Bo not needing to be successful at LSU. Part of it was Jacoby falling off a cliff. There's so many different things regarding the last year's defense that sucked. But what's really fascinating is the LSU defense did generate pressure. The LSU defense did generate high levels of havoc. LSU's defense did force turnovers. LSU's defense did force a lot of 3-and-outs. And they were still one of the worst we've ever seen in the SEC. So the first, especially for LSU standards, they got to stop the explosive plays. That's the absolute first thing. So, one thing, we were talking about Cordell Flott. So this was Marcus's initial super chat, right? The nickel. The one thing that needs to get fixed, and teams just continue to do this, and we touched on this, and if you guys are interested, check out our Derek Stingley Jr. deep dive. We did touch on this where Sting and Sting and Flott would run into each other. And because LSU played so much man coverage and they never mixed it up, it worked every single time. It worked against Alabama for a deep touchdown against Devonta Smith. It worked for the first touchdown against Arkansas. It worked for a few big plays against Auburn. And people did different variations of this. And, it's going to get a little technical. LSU, there's a few things you can do to stop it, but ultimately it comes down to communication, and it just didn't work. So, there's so many technical things outside of just the players themselves. It's IQ, it's communication, it's playing as a team. Someone said Raydarius Jones. Okay, Raydarius deserves some love in here. What about Xavier Fountain? What about Cam Lewis? I wish the best for those guys. If they're the answer, bring them in. Maybe Cam Lewis is the answer at safety. We'll see. But I do want to touch on Sage Ryan just for a second, because obviously Sage is such a popular player on this channel. He has so much hype going into next season. I think he could be a year one guy. But this is my biggest concern about Sage Ryan is that he played at LCA, which obviously is, smaller school. They won the state championship and he was a really good player. However, when he played at LCA, what a lot of elite defensive recruits do is, the bigger thing that they have to do during the course of the game is play offense. So jumping from that to where, you're playing offense most of the time to where, he played on defense too. He played both ways to then transferring over to just playing defense is obviously going to be pretty drastic, especially considering Sage was injured last season. Now he should be fully healthy and ready to go, but I hope LSU works him in slowly, and then by the end of the season, he's playing a lot. Oh, Cam Lewis transferred to Texas Tech? I did not know that. I thought he was still on LSU. No, I know Eric Monroe went to Texas Tech. I didn't know Cam also went. I hope he's still on the roster. That's a good experience, championship guy to have on the team. I also got retweeted by Terrence Tolliver today. That was really cool. Reed says Jordan Tolles is a real deal. Yeah, I thought that was Eric Monroe that went to Texas Tech. Yeah. Let's see. So Reed says Jordan Tolles is a real deal. How many of you think Jordan Tolles should be the starting safety alongside Jay Ward? Or do you think Jordan Tolles should get a look next season? He could be, Johnny. He very well could be. But is that his fit? Athletically, obviously, he could play any of them. Sage is athletic enough to play corner. He's one of those guys that could play all of them. But do you view Sage Ryan more as an Xavier McKinney? Kind of a jackknife? So where's my Jordan Tolles love? Any Jordan Tolles truthers out here? That's what Cliff was wondering. He's like, hey, I'm the Jordan Tolles guy. Huh? Out of Maryland, 4-star basketball player. I felt so bad for him in that Auburn game. Been on that play action, and he was going up against the fastest wide receiver in the SEC, Anthony Schwartz, and he just went right by him. It's actually a good thing. It really is a good thing because we weren't going to win that game anyway. And sometimes the best thing for you as a young player is to have something like that happen to you. And, a player could take it either way. A player could take it, oh my God, I don't know if I could do this. Or I'm going to work so hard where I'm not going to let that happen again. Some of you also think Derek Davis Jr., he had some growing pains in that spring game, but he was also playing with the second unit. I thought the deep pass where Max just kind of flung it up, some inexperience from DD Jr. right there. You just got to bat that ball down. He tried to Willie Mays intercept it, which, wasn't a good decision, but that's good. I agree, WME. So, Reed, do you think Jordan Tolles as the box safety? Here's my thing. I don't know. What this is how I view, defense moving forward. I think we're going to see defenses play a lot more too high at the collegiate level. All right. I really do. I think LSU is going to play more too high next season, as in cover 2 deep safety. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Obviously, they're going to run a lot of 2-man under. This gets into, the weeds here. But we'll see. I'm interested to see what Durante's philosophy is going to be on defense. Do I think Trey Palmer could go over to defense? It's not the absolute worst idea, but no, I think he's going to stay on offense. But, he's not done a whole lot at wide receiver, but I'd give him another year at wide receiver. I would. Trey Palmer's interesting. So, I brought this up during the Dare Rosenthal, piece, and I saw this thing. Okay, so LSU, produced this piece of content, and they produced and they showed all the players in this film shoot, right? So they had Derek Stingley at the film shoot. I didn't see Eli Ricks there, which was kind of shocking, but Kayshawn was there. So, whenever you look at the best players on the team, there are 3 best players on the team: Kayshawn, Sting, and Ricks. And then after that, there's a little gap. But what I saw at the film, the film shoot, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of hard to see because you couldn't really see the jersey number. You saw that one of the jersey numbers was a 5, but I think Desmond Little was also being highlighted at this film shoot, as was Jeray Jenkins, as was Cordell Flott, as was Trey Palmer, and as was, I believe, Damon Clark. And I can easily see all of those guys potentially not really being a factor next season. I could easily see that. I'm not saying I don't believe in those guys, but I do think there are some players that, LSU is expecting to take a step forward. The harsh reality is that not all of them are going to take a step forward. So we'll see how that goes. I think it was Desmond Little. I'm not sure. We'll see. Hey, bub. I like that read. Use him as Devin Hester. So Trey Palmer's a really good returner. I think he can. And obviously, no one's ever going to be a better returner than Devin Hester. Or who remembers this? Okay. Who remembers Dante Hall, baby? Who remembers Dante Hall of the Kansas City Chiefs? Dante Hall. Let's go. I lost some viewers by bringing up Dante Hall. Yeah, motherfucking. I once again, I'm not looking too much into it. It's just wild. All right, it's time for Z. Hey, B. Hey.
Mimi and Papa are coming over.
They're coming over. Okay, everyone say hi to Z. Everyone say hi to Z.
This is Z, baby.
Marcus just dropped a 50 spot. Z part 2.
Z, baby.
What did that sound like?
You didn't have the door open for her to get to her food and Waddy in her pen.
Oh, she was just sitting out there.
I know, but she needs to have it available at all times.
But no, I let her eat and drink. That's why we started a little late. I let her eat and drink, and she wanted to stay out there.
Okay. Well, in that case, just put her in her pen if I'm gone.
Well, she wanted to just stay out there.
But she needs to have her water and food available at all
At all times? Gotcha.
You got me?
Yeah, but she ate and drank right before the
But
thing.
she gotta have it. She just nibbles here and there, baby.
Okay.
From here on out. You understand?
Love you.
You understand?
Yeah, I got you, baby. Well, all right. Everyone say hi to hey. Z. Huh? Is that the first time you've seen Z, Marcus? I'm trying to kennel. No, so Haley went out to dinner with her family, right? And she left like right before the live stream began. And I let Z eat and drink, and she did not want to stay in her pen. She wanted to go back out there in front of the couch. So I let her stay out there in front of the couch. But now I know just to leave her in the pen. Creek, that's your first time? Well, Creek, you're part of the discussion of getting a new puppy. Yeah, understand? I love it, Cody. I knew Z would bring in the super chats. Let's go. I liked it earlier when you guys were matching each other's super chats. So I understand Marcus is always dropping 50 burgers, which is obviously well respected. But still. The PHL commissioner. I love it. So I actually like that idea, Johnny, of making. So Boog is number 7. Okay. For those that don't know, RIP Boog. Right there. So I like the idea, Johnny. So Boog is number 7. But it used to be Boog is number 7 and Hey is number 18. But I think Z should be number 18. That kind of coincides, right? So Z is number 18 now. What's up, Dwayne? Yeah, man. It's good to hear from you, dude. So Z's number 18 now, Johnny. Good. I like that. I did not play WME. Oh, you're talking to Marcus. He might have. Z loves licking this mic, though. The second time in a row. Huh? I don't know what it is. I think this light kind of made this. I don't know. You need partnership? Huh? Well, Johnny, you're one of the few people that actually had one of these bands. I've been working with the company to order a few more of these. So, yeah. I've never worked for Goldman Sachs. Okay, that's a spicy question by you, Bingle, just to drop on in for some Eli Holstein chat. Mo Funky says Armani by week 6. Oh man, Mo Funky, I know I can always trust you for spicy takes. So will Sting play offense? Good question, JJ. I won't spend too much time on that. I hope he doesn't. I really don't. Look, I don't think it's a good thing. I'll tell you this. The reason why I won't spend too much time on it is I did this. I don't know if you saw this. I did this deep dive, JJ. Just click it after the live stream on this very thing. I think it's actually in the description down below. You can click the Power Hour LSU and you can find it. I did a deep dive on it, and I looked at Derek Stingley Jr.'s high school film, and his offense was really good. What's up, Justin? Good to hear you. So, yeah, I Sting is really good with the ball in his hands. Hasn't quite shown that yet at the D1 level, but, interception returns are random. He hasn't really had any iconic punt return games, but a lot of that is hang time, and, you got to have a lot of things go your way for a punt return.
Hold on here.
Are they here? I just think LSU would be better off not. I think LSU would be way better off not having Sting play offense. And look, 2 or 3 plays here or there, or we get to the Bama game. He hadn't played offense, but you put him out there for a trick play. I'm for it. I just think with a brand new defensive coordinator and a brand new offensive coordinator, I think everyone would be best to come to their senses and say it's not a good thing. Not a good thing. Let's see. And that's something else, Roman. Why would we sign 5 wide receivers this year to tire out our best DB? I don't think Sting is quick enough for punt return. He's very fast, but it's more of a long stride than a quick twitch. I just think, punt return is just so random. There's very few, like, I don't know, because it's strange because LSU's had so many great punt returners. Okay, so we didn't like Chad Jones was a great punt returner, DJ Chark was a great punt returner, and then obviously you got the goats at it, Odell and Tyron, probably the best, if not Patrick Peterson was so ridiculously good at it as well. So yeah, it's been such a fruitful thing for LSU because look, there's a lot of games we don't win without punt returns, which is kind of strange. Well, Bruce, which one of those wide receivers you think will be that guy? Matthew Langlois, or yeah, I'd be open to that. Oh, Justin, that's tough. Top 10 players on the roster right now. All right, so we are an hour 36 into it. I'm going to open it up. Do you guys want me to answer Justin's question? We haven't had any super chats in a while. Obviously, if you're a super chatter and you have another question, I'll go to it. I could do that one, Justin. Let's see. So will we have a solid number 2 by SEC play? I do think it will be Dre. I did a deep dive on that one, Pegasus, as well. I'll get that link for you in a second. You might have already seen it. But yeah, I think Dre will be that guy. Michael, I love Matthew Langlois. So, full disclosure, I'm a little biased towards him because he is from New Roads. So emotionally, me being partially from New Roads, obviously this is a big deal. When a small town kid gets the big D1 offer, means a lot to you. So obviously, I'm cheering for Matthew Langlois. Not a year 1 defensive back, more year 2, year 3, when a lot of those slots will open itself up. He can be a year 1 special teamer. Look, if you're sub 11 100-meter dash, it's silly to not put those guys on special teams. So yeah, I love Matthew Langlois. I think he's really good. It was interesting because obviously, I'm always going to cheer for the 3-star offensive, 3-star Louisiana kid. And I'm actually doing a deep dive, and I was talking to Marcus about this privately, but I'm doing a deep dive looking at this idea. I get this question a lot. We should just focus on Louisiana and focus on getting 3 stars that want to come here and all those different things. And I started, looking to see if that's a viable strategy. And it honestly isn't. I don't think it is one that's interesting. You need to recruit everywhere. So that's the first thing. But, someone like Matthew Langlois just doesn't make sense to not special team him day 1. He's probably one of the 10 or 15 fastest guys on the team right now. And that's before, collegiate development. I mean, he's special fast. Not like Trendon Holiday fast, but like he's really fast. So we'll see. So yeah, let's see. Tony says Coy Moore. Bruce says Neighbors, best true freshman. So let me go through this really quickly. So the top 10 players on the team. So we know the non-negotiable top 10 guys is Rick Stingley and Butte. Okay, we agree that those 3 guys are the top 10. Then I'm only going to, whoever's going to play quarterback is going to be one of them. So that's 4. All right. I think whoever LSU plays at quarterback, I think either one of them is going to be really good. All right, so then after that, I'm going to go Mike Jones at 5. And then at number 6, I'm going to go with, I don't know. There's just so much that needs to get sorted out. I'll put Liam there at number 6. The second half of the season was better for Liam than the first. At 7, I'll go Jure. At 8, 9, 10. I hope Jay Ward is one of them. Then at 9, I'll go Ojolari. And then at 10, I'll go Roy. There you go. Yeah, Languaza fast. I think, obviously Sage will play some special teams. And then, Goodwin. I like to see all three of them race. But yeah, I don't have their 100-meter times in front of me. I know Goodwin and Langlois are for sure sub 11 guys. And for those that don't know, if you're sub 11 in the 100-meter dash, you're hauling. Like, you're really running fast. Sub 10, that's Olympian level. And it's come on. There's 0.0001% of the world could even have the opportunity of being that. Chris Hilton, too. Yeah, Chris Hilton is definitely sub. Thanks for reminding me that, Johnny. So, yeah, LSU, this 2021 cycle was a really fast class. I mean, they really got some burners in there. And we got some Jontre Kirkland love, shot to be the number 2 wide receiver. I like it. We need someone to click at running back. We missed Clyde so much last year. That's a good, Michael, it's a good point. Let's do this. There's 83 of you in here. A lot of you want to talk running back, so I'll happily do it. Michael G, good to hear from you, man. A lot of Michael G's, Michael B's, Michael A's. I love that. I agree, JJ. And, to Coy Moore's defense with the drops, so he had 4 or 5 drops. I know LSU had him logged for 4. SEC StatCat had him logged for 5. In his defense, and this also ties in with Trey Palmer and Jontre Kirkland, the drop issues were, and this adds to the brilliance of Max Johnson in his final 2 games, is that Max had wide receivers drop a lot of passes. And a lot of that was due to the circumstances. The weather was bad, the rain and the fog. So should they have dropped as much as they dropped, especially Jontre and Trey, they had some explicitly bad drops. Should they have dropped this bad? No. But it was their first game with Max Johnson. A left-handed ball does spin differently than a right-handed ball. And the weather, those aren't excuses, but we'll see now what's going to happen next season. So I don't think you should worry too much about Coy and his drops last season. But I think Coy does take a step forward next year. Obviously, there's a lot that he's got to work on in his game. But we do know this, and it's pretty well documented that he's one of the, if not the hardest worker on that roster. And that was documented before he even got to LSU. So we'll see. Yeah, Carver, someone else brought that up, and I mentioned you really early. Reed says we can't fix running back until they fix the offensive line. I agree, and you can't fix the offensive line until, of course, you fix the Dare Rosenthal hole. But the key thing about running back is the position changes so much between the 2 quarterbacks, especially if you're running out of shotgun, because Max is just going to open so much more out of the running game out of shotgun. And Leonard, I don't know if Leonard is still watching. He brought up a really good point that Miles, at the very least, there was a few times in the Missouri game in particular that Miles Brennan could have kept the ball on the zone read and or handoff, and he would have picked up 4 or 5 yards. And here's the thing. He never kept it. He never once kept the ball on a carry. And the thing is, if you keep it on a carry, even if you only gain 2 or 3 yards, you are at the very least keeping those defensive ends honest. One thing that really worked against TDP last season was before Max, he would just be getting cut down in the run game. So we'll see. So I am not for a 2 QB system, JJ, but I can easily see LSU doing this. Someone in the comment section from my video, either yesterday or the live stream this weekend, brought up using Max Johnson as a Taysom Hill type of runner. That would not be a great idea. It simply wouldn't. Number one is, in order to do that, you have to have a really, really confident play caller. And Jake Peets, we'll see how he is at calling plays, but it's tough. You notice a lot of these 2 QB systems that have worked. Obviously, the most famous example in recent seasons is Sean Payton with Drew Brees and Taysom Hill. But, obviously the biggest example of this in college was Florida, where it was Chris Leak, Tim Tebow, and Urban Meyer. But Urban Meyer, of course, is world-class play caller. So, number one, it's obviously very complex to do that. Number two is Max Johnson is a good runner, but if you want to justify doing a 2 QB system, you better have an athlete. And Max, while he is a really good athlete, his running capability doesn't justify that. And he gives you so much value as a backup quarterback. We're hurting him in that aspect just doesn't make a lot of sense. Better play calling and less predictable. I agree. And I agree, Mo Funky. Yeah, Taysom is just different. There's not many quarterbacks that are, as fast as your running backs or faster than the other team's linebackers. Justin, your top 10 was Sting, Ricks, Butte, Max Miles. Oh, Jay Ward. Interesting. Ali Gay. Oh, yeah. I didn't show Cade York some love. Yeah, Cade York is probably number 4, honestly, behind those first 3 guys. And you can make a case he's number 1. I mean, he's a really good kicker. I mean, there's never been a kick in the history of LSU football. And I'm not sure if there will ever be a kick better than Cade York's 57-yard bomb. There will definitely not be a cooler looking kick than kicking the football on the gator from 57 yards out in the fog. Yeah, Reed, it's a very similar comp. Yeah, Barry, I don't know. Okay, so let me bring this up, Barry. This seems to be a popular question or a popular train of thought. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being it's a really bad issue, to 1 being it wasn't that big of an issue at all, it's just a stupid excuse, the running backs rotation. How many of you thought the running backs rotation last year was a huge issue? Or how many of you thought, it wasn't that big of an issue? It was an issue, but it was more of, bad blocking, bad quarterback play. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Johnny says 4. Yeah, DRC, you've been really passionate about this as well. Byron, there you are. You'll go 5. DRC says 10. So if you, I think it's a mix. I do agree with Marcus. No one just took it. Okay. Here's a good example. And I know he's been doing more media, but I want you to, he's been doing some shows on 104.5. So take Jeremy Hill, for instance, right? Take Jeremy Hill's game against South Carolina. So Jeremy Hill was 5th on the depth chart, right? And I remember this. I was with Dig Magazine, and Dig, I don't know if Dig is still running in Baton Rouge. Cody Worsham was my editor, and he's now, of course, with LSU Football, phenomenal writer. And he did a really good piece on the LSU running backs room at the time. And there was 4 running backs in that running backs room that was, far ahead of Jeremy Hill. It was Alfred Blue, Spencer Ware, Michael Ford, and somebody else. And it might not have been Spencer Ware there in 2012. Whatever. But the point was, Jeremy Hill came into the game and was undeniably great. Undeniably. You couldn't tackle him. You couldn't bring him down. He would make crazy cuts. He had low-key, high-end home run ability. He was undeniably good. So to Marcus's point is, how many times have you watched Emory or TDP up to this point in their careers do something so undeniably good where you're like, okay, this is our Charles Alexander. This is our Fournette. So, the problem here is Emory and TDP are really good players, but Nicholas Brissett was also a really good player. I love Nicholas Brissett. But Nicholas Brissett was also not undeniably great like those other ones. And that's the issue you run into, where if both of those running backs are Nicholas Brissett's, that's fine. It's just hard. I'm just not sure if either one of them, like Marcus said, is differentiated the other one. So we'll see. Driver assistance support reduced just popped up, so I'll be quieter for a few. Oh, okay. Marcus, I didn't know you were driving now. Scares me. I know a lot of you listen while you drive, and I appreciate that, especially Roman on I-10. Roman is not checked in. Emory was hurt. It's true. Both of them were pretty banged up. Whitetail, what's good, man? Byron, you've been quiet since you jumped in. What's good, man? Let's see. Coming down from the mountains. I love it. Got us piped in through the Bluetooth. That's good stuff. Oh, man. Trying to decide what we're going to do next for the channel. Because obviously, let me get your opinion on this, guys. Because I feel like a lot of our diehards are in here. Leonard's in here. Marcus is in here. Carvis is in here. Kane's in here. Byron just got in from work. Coach Smith is on the move. I love Coach Smith, man. He'll check me if I'm wrong on something. I love that, man. That's the point of this channel, to have open discussions. Yeah, Justin, but that's part of life. Trust me. I don't like it either. I wish we had everything squared away. So yeah, over the next couple of weeks, would you guys?
He done got Mimi bleeding.
Oh, Z, she bit her finger. Did Z didn't bite her finger off? So Haley's mom is over here. Haley's mom's dog bit her finger off like early. I'm afraid that happened again. I don't know, Byron. You tell me. There's rumors he might come back. Remember that last time LSU chased after someone who you couldn't really rely on and you gave multiple chances to? Didn't work out all that well, did it? It's kind of like the no one player is bigger than the team kind of thing. But yeah, obviously, I'd welcome Dare Rosenthal back because that's a huge position of need and he's a really good player. But I mean, come on. Look, it wasn't a big deal last season because we were in turmoil and Dare was already hurt. But there's something to be said. Okay, in the offseason, if you get suspended or whatever, that's one thing. Or if you leave for personal reasons in the offseason, totally get it. Okay. But during the season where you're getting suspended, that is, let's just say we're undefeated and this happens again, we'll see. Yeah, Byron, here's the thing. He can always come back until he actually signs a dotted line. Once again, the timeline of the whole situation just did not make any sense. It didn't make any sense at all. I agree, Bruce. And we led the live stream with that. Yeah, Tyler, I think Dare wants to be a Tiger, though. I do. It's just, you just got to follow the rules that everyone else keeps up with. So we'll see. But anyway, I do want to ask this question. A lot of our diehards are here. We're about 2 hours into this. What do you guys want over the next couple of weeks? Obviously, this is going to be huge for the channel. This is our first, full football season. So last year I was doing some videos, but now that this is obviously my full-time job, I know, Justin. I mean, outside of Kayshawn, Sting, and Ricks, there really is no other player potentially more valuable than that guy. Yeah, Alan, it was personal problems, but once again, that could be anything. You can really chalk up anything to personal problems. That's why specificity is very important. For so long, and some things are private matters, and that's the case. But for so long, we just hear violation of team rules, violation of team rules. Well, it can also be unfair to the player to not question what are these team rules that they're violating. I know, Marcus, it looks like the Central Michigan game is like the most popular game that I think Central Michigan would be a fun game to go to because we know it's going to be a night game. Now, Dare's not coming back, but there's rumors that it might. I think it was Mike Scarborough who reported that it's someone. And we go to Byron. I love it. Get us more 5 stars in state. I love it. So I wish we had more 5 stars in state. LSU's already maxed out at that. 2023, there's 4 5 stars. Got Derek Williams, a safety. That'll be a nice pickup if he chooses LSU. Sheldon Sampson out of Baton Rouge. You also got the Osbury, the linebacker at U High. And who's the other 5-star in 2023? Who is it? I don't think I've ever heard of this guy before. I think he had some family members play in the league. I don't know, Byron. I don't know. But thanks for the super chat. I don't know who that player is, though. Can someone refresh my memory? Like his dad was an MVP, and his uncle was the MVP, and his other uncle threw a pass that someone caught on his helmet. I don't know. But those are your 5 stars for 2023. And that goes along kind of with Bruce's comment. As far as 5-star recruits are concerned, that'll be fun. Hey, did your parents leave? They didn't come say hi. They could have come said hi. They could have come said hi.
Well, I was just setting Dad's Apple Music up. They didn't want to come interrupt you, baby.
Hey, Z. But they could have come said hi.
I know, but they didn't want to bother you. They were playing with the dog.
I don't care about me. I'm chopped liver now. All around chopped liver.
Look at her, big
Get her away from the cord.
I'm coming to get her, baby. I'm getting my necklace off. Come here.
Where's he? Stop.
You bit Mimi, but Mimi's got thin skin, so.
Oh my God. Come here. Let me hold her for a second. Everyone's out of Z. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Shiggy all the way around.
Look at that. Everyone's out of Z. So she's waving her. Quit. Z. Quit. Cooper Manning. Huh?
Hold on, baby. You don't pass her off right.
That was a great pass. That's all I know right now, Pegasus. Hey, Lil Z. Byron, thank you for the super chat.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So here's what we're going to do. Oh, my goodness. Z.
She loves to give kisses.
Huh? So Creek, I got to show Creek. Creek was one of like our top commenters during the boog.
Oh.
So shout out to you, Creek and Shreveport. JJ's been in here tonight too, babe.
Oh, really?
JJ's in this mix. I love it.
She loves to give chuggy.
Byron. Creek's like the biggest dog fan on here.
Not the ear, baby.
She's biting ears now?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. If you have any tips on teething dogs, let us know.
Robert!
Oh, Robert.
Robert comes in, the president. Robert's the king of PHL. What's up, Robert?
I know.
Our cancer warrior, Robert. Robert would come in right when Z drops in.
It's a God thing.
That's Robert. And another 50 spot.
Oh, my God, Robert.
Robert loves him some dogs. I think he was like, okay, I like Creek, but I'm the big dog guy. Huh? So we actually shared this. I think this was Leonard.
You're so sweet.
Leonard brought this up, and this was before Marcus and Robert were even on. And I was going to text both of them afterwards, but Leonard was asking, or was it Leonard? It was someone else that was asking.
About Z?
No, who the Super Chat champions were. And it's without a doubt.
We love her, Robert.
Robert and Marcus.
We love her so much.
Honestly, we couldn't have this channel without Robert and Marcus. That's like just being completely honest.
She's a multi-poo.
So, yeah, we appreciate you. Yeah, we are loving the dog. And Robert's been texting and checking in on Z.
My wife is a vet. She is getting Kong toys. Said get Kong toys. What about her little? I looked at Kongs today, but they were so big and she's so little.
Yeah, Whitetail. Any tips for teething?
Please, because she's driving me nuts.
I know, Creek. So, and then obviously, and people that, people like Johnny have donated a lot. Trey, Byron. I really do appreciate all you guys. I really do. Cliff, you guys know who you are. So we couldn't have this channel without you. We simply couldn't. Yeah, there you are, Eric. What's up,
Eric? Oh my God, where have you been?
Eric's been hiding. I told everyone Eric is just going to hang out during the season. But yeah, this has been one of our, viewer wise as well. This has been one of our bigger live chats. I love it. And Cody, you've been very generous tonight as well. I appreciate you. Vacationing, I understand. Hard freeze.
That's a good one. That's a good one. You can actually see her little eyes. Hold on.
Look at that. So Z is number 18, and as always,
Bug number 7 forever.
Bug's number 7
forever.
Now, Johnny, I appreciate you. We got some really cool things coming up. Some cool membership opportunities and all that stuff. And we do need to plan this meetup for next season.
Big Al. What are you doing?
Can't have a meetup though without Big Al. Big Al's been dropping some dad jokes, like hardcore dad jokes lately.
You getting squirmy, huh? I'm watching her, baby.
Simeon, what's good, man?
Where you going?
So over the next couple of weeks,
Come on.
we will be doing more deep dives on the LSU defense.
Come on, Mama.
Also, we have a deep dive
Come on, Mama.
on. There you go. Byron dropped a 25 spot for some dog treats.
Doggy treat.
And honestly, all your money is going towards
No, ma'am.
No, she can't choose. She always chooses a headphone cord that goes down there.
I'm watching her, babe.
Pick up this
I
iPhone.
am.
This chart. Get her away from that.
Baby, I am. You've got to get a better setup. We have a puppy now.
I know.
That's your project this weekend.
Oh, yeah. There was something that did happen to me this past weekend, and you guys are going to love it. Okay. I did have one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me in my career. And I did share earlier. Terrence Tolliver did retweet me. That was pretty cool. Because I loved. What is she doing? Don't start barking now, Z.
I want him to hear how little. Hey, Big Al. Get him.
Big.
Can y'all hear her?
Big Al dropped a Dare Rosenthal bad joke
Baby,
earlier.
she's right here.
Z?
Well, Booger never made a noise, so I wanted to hear. Did y'all hear?
No, you can't. Time to go wireless. That's true. I can't because someone just drops her AirPods every 2 seconds.
I have not lost another one.
I know. Y'all remember that NFL
We can
draft
hear.
night?
Good. She is feisty. She is a little SHI toot.
All right.
Oh, they're enjoying seeing.
No, I didn't say
I
anything.
got your steak.
Oh, we got steak tonight. Let's go. Mineral water set. That's true.
Hi, this is Whitetail's wife. I like the Kong genus. Will you screenshot that for me? No rawhide. No, it almost killed my mom's dog. She had to have a full blood transfusion.
I love that.
No, that's terrible.
No, I love that. I love that we have
Maddie almost died.
I love that we have vets in here. That's good. We have a lot of vets.
Tell us what you think about
no A2F tonight.
multi-poos. Are they pretty good? Because she's really in that 9-week-old
Whitetail,
puppy.
what is your vet's wife? What are her thoughts on multi-poos? JJ, did you see Z?
If you didn't, she's right here biting my leg.
Show JJ Z. There you go.
Look how
JJ's also been one of our generous super chatters. Cook bones. I didn't know that.
We have lots of. Well, we're working on our arsenal. We have no, ma'am.
Steak
no
for Z too.
Way.
Nuh-uh.
No human food ever. No.
Mm-mm. No chocolate. Stock up on dog toys.
We're working on her toy collection.
Maltese cross with poodle. Multi-poo. We are 2 hours into it, so yeah. Who saw England get the win today versus Germany? How about that, Rain? Z number 18.
Oh.
Yeah, JJ, what'd you get to dinner tonight? Z got you good?
You'll go to quit it.
JJ, what'd you get in Shreveport, man?
Oh, I know chocolate will kill a dog, heavens. And grapes are poisonous to them, too.
I didn't know grapes were bad for dogs.
Yes.
Yeah, guys, we got some defensive film studies. Devin, what's good? A lot of people dropping in for the first time in a while.
Good.
Good to hear from you, Devin.
As far as personality, they have good personality. Start training earlier. Not a lot of health issues. Good.
Love
That's
it.
what we thought, Whitetail. Thank you, sweetie. We appreciate your input a lot.
Let's see. What was something else?
She has a pretty fiery personality, doesn't she, baby?
I did want to bring this up. Azariah Thomas. Remember the name. I think LSU's going to land him. The corner out of Florida. I wanted to bring his name up. Byron, we'll see you. Thank you for your very generous super chats. You really gave a lot. I really do appreciate it.
Bye, Byron. Ouch, mama.
You recently received a full-time analyst position offer. Congrats to you, Devin.
Oh, cool, Jared.
So, Devin, what kind of analyst? I'm curious. But yeah, Azariah Thomas is a player to keep an eye out for. Obviously now, especially, with the Dare Rosenthal news. And I say especially because here's the thing. If Cam Wire...
Oh, Byron, you're so kind.
If
Come on, Byron.
No, Byron, you're very generous. Thank you. If Cam Wire balls out at left tackle, he very well can go to the NFL.
She's such a little pissy.
He's got some raw skills and some good size. Oh, cool, Devin. That's awesome. Business operations analyst at Navy Federal Headquarters. Really cool. Congrats to you, Devin. For real. I love that. I did not know that. I thought the Hawks weren't playing tonight. Can anyone? Let me see. I'm going to get a quick score update here. Ooh. I thought about going Hawks money line, but I got scared. I did not know. Wow. I went down on Hawks money line. Did we really think the Bucks were going to run away with this? What's this? Is going to be a 2-2 series now with Ice Trae Young? I love it. I freaking love it. So yeah, so we're gonna be here for a while. We got some really good super chats. So the first thing I wanted to get out there before we end. I kind of want to do it here in the middle where there's still a fair amount of you in here. The first thing is obviously, and this is very important. We are going to be doing some deep defensive film studies over these next couple of weeks. So here's the thing. It's funny. There's correlation between the videos I spend the least amount of time on with the videos that actually get the most views. Okay. And, I that's obviously fine, but I like doing deep dives. So over the next couple of weeks, be on the lookout for some deep defensive film studies. And the reason why I think that's so important is because it is something unique. Now, it's not unique doing film studies, but I really want to dive deeper into what the philosophies of the LSU defense are going to be next season. I also want to do a championship study. What are the little things LSU needs to do next season to win a championship? And the thing is, if we talk about like what actually went wrong for LSU, Giannis got hurt. Oh, please don't tell me that. Oh my God. I like Giannis. Love me some Giannis. Wait, what role is this? Chef choice? I'm a sushi guy. I'm a big sushi guy. A tailgate episode? What is a tailgate episode? But anyway, I want to get into, some of the championship things, right? The little things. And we're going to be doing that on the channel. And you guys are going to absolutely love it. I promise you're going to absolutely love it. Dang, Giannis did go down. Tailgate interview? There actually are a few videos of me interviewing tailgaters that I had one that I did in Dallas for LSU versus Oregon. That is nuts. So yeah. Tailgating food people. I don't know. I know some of you want to do a meetup. I would be so down for that. Like just doing a hangout at a game. Just trying to figure out where's somewhere we can go on campus. I've never set up a tailgate. I don't know how to do any of that. So yeah, nice interview last week. Trying to think what interview I did. I don't know. I appreciate the compliment though, Johnny. Around the RVs. Yeah, Creek, I think it's on one of my old channels. It was a lot of fun. It was. I would like to go. Me and Haley would like to go to a game this year. We still got to figure it out. Because here's the thing: if you go to a game, we can't have the post game. Yeah, I would do, Devin. I'd love to meet all of you, honestly. Go Tigers, go. Someone asked the other day. It was interesting because I didn't know a whole lot about Michael Brockers. I know this is random, coming out of Texas. I did not know he wasn't a highly ranked recruit. Like he was like a good recruit. I had thought for some reason he was like a high level 4 or 5 star. That's in like 2 or 3 months from now. I know, Devin. It's like, I don't know. I'm horrible at all this. Oh, okay, Johnny. All right. Yeah, that was interesting. So I did I tweeted out, I didn't mention this on his channel. So one of our British viewers, Alex, is overseas and he interviewed me. I was his first ever guest on his new show, and he's a big LSU fan. And he lives in Brighton, England. And he had me on a show, and we obviously had a good time. So yeah. God, I'm a sushi guy, man. So I went to this is a big mistake. All right. If you guys want to know what a big mistake is, anytime you go to a restaurant, all right, and our super chatters are talking food, so we'll happily talk food. I'm going to give you guys some good tips here. Anytime you go to a restaurant that serves both sushi and ramen, don't do the ramen, do the sushi every time. Go to a ramen place that just does ramen or noodles. There's a huge difference between pho, ramen, and just regular noodles. I don't know. I don't really like ramen. I don't. And we went to a really nice sushi place in Dallas last week, and I went with ramen over sushi, and it was a mistake. It was a big mistake. The ramen was okay. It's just not as good as sushi. My daughter loves the sushi from Heb. Kenneth, be lucky that you live in an area that has a Heb. Never buy sushi at a truck stop either. So here's the thing, Creek. It's funny because I've looked into this. These supermarkets are getting so much better at, making sushi rolls. I mean, walk into any supermarket, they have, a person in there rolling sushi. So I mean, it's fresh. I mean, it's not like served to you on a table or anything. But I've never had supermarket sushi like that. But I agree with Marcus. You got to go fresh for the sushi. Yeah, Reed, don't eat anything that you're scared of. Huh? Huh? But yeah, well, Robert Super Chat is up. If you guys want to talk food or whatever, normally after 2 hours in, we mix it up. If you guys want to talk, um, I always say this, I don't feel like a good enough expert on other LSU sports. It was obviously a big news item that Jay Johnson got the head baseball coaching job. It was also big news today in LSU basketball that Darius Days is coming back, which is pretty cool. So yeah. JJ, you're a sushi guy. Me and Hey still need to take you up on that steak offer though. California roll, can't beat it. So yeah, Robert Super Chat is still up there. So any question you want to ask me, I've already, shared everything LSU football related. You guys can throw an LSU football topic out there. You guys can ask me what my favorite color is. You guys can ask me about Z if you want to. Name a current player on the LSU roster no one has heard of. Interesting. We were talking about Ray Darius Jones earlier. He's very interesting. And then, we were talking about the defensive backs earlier, Mo Funky, and we kind of forgot about Darren Evans, who, because Sting went to the hospital less than 24 hours before and we had all these injuries. Darren Evans was going up against Mississippi State in the first game. He's very interesting. A current player LSU's never heard of. Well, look, if there was ever an opportunity for Thomas Perry, an offensive lineman, to say, I'm the next Andrew Whitworth, now would be the time. Let's see. I like the walk-on linebacker, Benfield. He's always number 54. He always is stepping up, doing the little drills. Corn Norman is another one of these walk-on, workout warrior, spring game type of guys. And I hated that Corn Norman didn't play in the spring game. I wish he would have had his opportunity. So, yeah. When am I going to take Z rabbit hunting? I don't know. I'm not a hunter. Not really much of an outdoorsman. My brother's big into camping, but that's just not my thing. Getting warmer, walk on. Oh, you're trying to get me to name someone on the roster that you've not heard of, Mo Funky. Oh, that's tough. Especially you, because you really are diehard. You consume it 24/7 like I do. Let's just think here. I don't know. I think you know every single player on the roster. All right, Creek, we'll see you, man. Hold it down in Shreveport. Same thing for you. We got a lot of PHL love in North Louisiana. Shreveport, y'all hold it down. Let's go to short tail here. Do you think we are a contender for Alabama this year, or do you think we have a better chance in the next coming years? So this is interesting, Whitetail. This could be LSU's year. Look, you look at 2021, you look at the teams. Florida's revamping everything that made them great last season. And they still have offensive line and defense issues and discipline issues under Mullen. Then you look at Alabama. If there was ever a time to beat them with a non-Joe Burrow quarterback on your roster in this Saban era, this might be the year. So, I'm not completely sold on Bryce Young, even though it's going to be really hard for him not to work out. Obviously, Alabama signed a really good class. Kamar Wheaton and the Brockermeyers and Latham. So they're still going to be good. Even if they really had to play a bunch of true freshmen, they're still going to be really good. And then you also factor in, Ole Miss is going to be better than what they were last season, potentially, but, defense is still an issue there. Arkansas is replacing a lot of coaches. Mississippi State's not that good. So last season was just a fluke. So yeah, Auburn's rebuilding. Texas A&M's going to have a new quarterback. So I'm not going to lie. I feel fine. I feel fine about LSU next season. I also think next season could be their year to pounce. So we'll see. I mean, Georgia obviously returns a lot, but they also, I keep hearing Georgia return a lot. They also lost 2 members of their secondary to the NFL. They also lost a pass rusher who was essentially a first-round pick. They also lost their best player, who to me is Perkins. So yeah, it's interesting. Georgia's got a lot of hype next season. I'm also not completely sold on JT Daniels. I do think Georgia would have been better off going to him obviously quicker. The Florida matchup becomes a lot more interesting with Daniels in there, but I'm just not completely sold. Yeah, Michael, that's a good point. So I'm so tired of the disrespect from Bama fans. I wish we could just humiliate them one good time. Well, Michael, we did in 2019, but we made a few coaching mistakes and we really let the foot off the gas in 2019. This has always been my stance on the 2019 season. The Clemson game was not a 17-point game. That game was a lot closer. And the Alabama game was not a 5-point game. That game was a lot more dominated by LSU. But obviously, as many of you know, the scoreline doesn't always reflect that. So Alabama in 2019 was very lucky to be in that game against LSU. LSU caught 2 very lucky breaks, and both of those breaks happened in the first half, where Tua, of course, fumbled in the red zone on the first drive of the game, and Alabama's punter just dropped the ball. It was snapped right to him. But outside of that, Alabama caught so many breaks. They scored the touchdown where they caught us looking on the sideline. They also had a punt return touchdown by Waddle, who, full, respect to Waddle, he's one of the best punt returners in SEC history. But Racey McMath should have just murdered him. He should have just hit him, but he let up for whatever reason, and that catapulted Waddle for a very fluky type of punt return. Then in the second half of the game, we punted the football on 4th and 1 with Joe Burrow on Alabama's 42-yard line up by 20. You should never punt the football there. It was a really bad mistake. That allowed Alabama to even get back in the game. Then we missed 2 third-down conversions in that game where if our offensive line just didn't whiff the guy in front of him, we likely would have completed that and then put them away in that situation. So the way that Alabama got back into the game, on top of all of that, Alabama completed 3 different 4th downs to even score touchdowns to stay in the game. Then the reason why it wasn't a double-digit game there at the end is because we were playing bump and run, and Derek Stingley got burnt. The Alabama game was, we thoroughly outplayed them. I give Alabama a lot of credit. They scrapped and clawed to the very end to keep it close, but that game wasn't really close. It wasn't Alabama's best performance. Yes, Alabama fans can say, well, Tua was hurt. And they're right. Tua was banged up. But that doesn't change the fact that LSU, once again, if there's a Bama fan watching this, I'm only saying this just this one time because it is just true this one time. LSU thoroughly outplayed Bama, and the game shouldn't have been as close as that score line. Whereas a Clemson game, it's probably the opposite. Clemson did a lot of things well in that game. They just choked when it mattered the most. And you got to give Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase a lot of credit because those 2 guys were really special when we needed them the most. You also got to give Trevor Lawrence a lot of credit for being really bad on the game's biggest stage. So, the Clemson game was a little bit closer than 17 points. But scores are scores for a reason. So the Bama game was a 5-point game. And the Clemson game was a 17-point game. I'm not, debating that. It's just, the truths of both of those games were probably the opposite. Yes, it should have been a lot worse. I agree, Carvis. What's up, Blessed? I know you're just waking up in Turkey. Good to hear from you. I know a lot of people blessed in Europe are going crazy over the Euros. It's been a crazy Euro. Giannis has a hyperextension. I hope he's okay. I should have taken the Hawks in the money line. I went out, guys. I went out. No, Graylin, Bama's 2020 Natty should have an asterisk next to it. It was a different season, no doubt, and Bama having a more experienced roster really helped out. But Bama 2020, even with all those different things, was undeniably dominant. They only had one game where it was decided between single digits. That was against Florida, firing on all cylinders. That was Alabama's third straight game away from Bryant-Denny. Alabama was dominant in every sense of the word dominant. I still don't think they were better than 2019 LSU, but it's okay to. Bama deserved that national championship. Pegasus says, Carter, where do you have LSU in the SEC West right now? I have them probably number 2 behind Alabama, but we'll see. Yeah, Graylin, the competition was weak. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think Ohio State should have been in the playoff, but that Ohio State team was pretty loaded. They also beat us in a down year. Texas A&M was overrated last season. Still a really good win for them. They beat Florida. So, yeah, it wasn't the strongest SEC. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think it was different. Yes, and I don't think anyone is – I think we put an asterisk next to something because, the most common phrase in sports is that Barry Bonds has an asterisk, right? That involves cheating. And in this case, Bama – they didn't have some major competitive advantage over everyone else. But yeah, there's just no other way around it. I think we would, and yes, Bama benefited from having just this weird season, but still, they were great. Well, granted, you're totally justified in thinking that, though, because it was just such a different season. But, it was I'll also make this point that you can make about 2020 Bama is that the bottom half of the SEC was a lot better in 2020 and now than it was in 2019. So, the bottom half of the SEC that we beat in 2019 is diametrically different than the bottom half of the SEC and an all SEC schedule. But overall, I tend to agree. So, yeah. Well, all right, guys. Let's see. I'll hang out for a few more minutes, as we always do. If you guys want to keep the super chats flowing, I'll stay here all night. But yeah. No, Michael, your expectations aren't too high. 10-3. And I think, Marcus, we brought this up on a live stream not too long ago. I think 10-3 and the college football playoff once every 3 or 4 years is not too much to ask. Obviously, when it becomes a 12-team playoff, the standard should be the playoff 3 out of every 4 seasons, which I also think would be fair because going from 4 to 12 is obviously, different. It's not too much to ask for LSU, which recruits a top 5 class nationally every year. Now should make the college football playoff 2 out of every 4 years or 3 out of every 4 years. That's not too much to ask in a 12-team format. So I think that's fine. Thank you, Kenneth. We'll see you on Saturday night. Justin, it's been a minute. We've had a lot of people checking in for the first time. I think that's the sign that people are starting to get excited for the season. Big Al, what do you have to do tomorrow? What do you got to get up early for? Work? Really? I feel like LSU would be able to pull in a 1-loss season this year, depending on what happens with Bama offensively and Belichick's first year. Oh, you mean not Belichick? O'Brien. Yeah, so Bill O'Brien, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. No, motherfucker, you didn't tell me you sent me a DM. Is your sleeper? Let me guess your sleeper. I didn't get a DM, Mo Funky. Now I got to keep me up all night. All right, JJ, we'll see you, man. Yeah, please do, Bless. Please do. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off as well. Let's see, what's our video on tomorrow? I don't know. That's a video of it. We'll see what happens. I kind of want to do the defensive film studies for next week. So be on the lookout for that. Tomorrow, we got to do a Max Johnson film study. I think we do need to do that. Anyway, thank you to Robert. Thank you to Marcus. Thank you to all our big super chatters. TJ, I know you're out there. Byron, I appreciate you. It is. And Rai. Can't forget the poutine, baby. Let's go. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Man, I hope Giannis is okay. I really do. Z.